Hey everybody, Retro Gaming Guy here. Today in this video we're going to talk about Raspberry Pi and how the Raspberry Pi Foundation has turned their backs on their own community. This is the community that has supported them since their inception. This is the community that has been their lifeline through thick and thin, and most importantly, the community that has found new and innovative ways to actually use the Raspberry Pi products. And for me, I'm a gamer, so I use the Raspberry Pi 4 for emulation gaming. With that Raspberry Pi 4, if we went back 3 years, we could get that for $55 and we would be able to load RetroPie onto a micro SD card that gets slid right into the micro SD card slot on the Pi 4, boot that sucker up, and we could get into everything from Atari all the way up through Dreamcast, N64, PS1, and PSP. Now, some of those higher end games, we're going to have some performance issues because the Raspberry Pi just didn't have enough to it to play all of those effortlessly, but for the most part, you got some serious bang for your buck because you were able to get into all of those collections and most of them played pretty much perfectly. Nowadays, we are not able to get our hands on these, therefore we are having to pay ridiculous prices due to price gouging to get that same computer board. So $55 is off the table completely now. We have to spend upwards of $125, $150, and at the height of this massive shortage that we were seeing, some people were paying up to like $285, $300 for that same Raspberry Pi 4 that was offered at $55 just a couple years prior. So it's a crazy situation there. And if we start comparing, the current price point of Raspberry Pi 4 to other options, we're going to go to mini PCs now. We're going to go to a million different options that make more sense for us as gamers. But there's so many different things that you can use a Raspberry Pi for. I've seen them used in surveillance for different security systems. I've seen them used in robotics. I've seen them used in just about every space imaginable. Just last night I was watching a video on how somebody actually used a Raspberry Pi to build a effects pedal for their guitar. So there's just unlimited possibilities here, but it's the community that has always gone out and found all these different amazing projects that you could use a Raspberry Pi product for. But now Raspberry Pi and the Raspberry Pi Foundation has prioritized commercial sales over consumers, over individual consumers rather. So we just saw that they partnered with Sony, and they've actually been dealing with Sony for a number of years now, but they're officially partners with Sony. Sony has actually just invested an undisclosed amount of money in Raspberry Pi to advance its efforts into AI. So these two companies are going to work together, again, because they want those commercial sales. They want to move forward towards commercial. They want to get away from the individual consumers, which I understand from a business standpoint. However, I don't think that you can turn your back on the community that made you. The community is super supportive, and that has always been, again, going back to gaming, why I loved RetroPie so much. There were better platforms out there for emulation, there still are, but what RetroPie had was that community, and that community was the Raspberry Pi community that supported it. So if you had an issue on RetroPie, you were having some weird sort of error message, or you were struggling with something, you could get your question answered, you could get your problem solved very quickly because there was such a massive presence to that community behind the scenes that was willing to help you. You could go on YouTube, you can go on Reddit, you could post, hey, I'm having this problem, and you would get an answer like that. And that was because of the community behind it. And that wasn't just gaming. Gaming is just what I'm most familiar with, so I'll use that as my example. But the same was the case whether you were in robotics or you were in, a space that was using it for surveillance, for a security sort of industry, whatever the case may be, you had that Raspberry Pi community behind you, supporting you and helping you along the way. You could go to Reddit and say, hey, I'm trying to do this coding, project with Raspberry Pi, and you would have people there helping you out, again, like that. And it was just so cool to see that community functioning as one and helping each other out. And again, that's just why I loved using Raspberry Pi products so much. But unfortunately, more and more people have moved on from Raspberry Pi. They found other single board computers out there, or they've just, abandoned that altogether for something else because they couldn't get their hands on these products. So I think that while Raspberry Pi may be partnering with Sony and they're going to see some great things happen on that side of things, they're losing so much in that sort of grassroots community that, again, has supported them so much and really built them up. This amount of sales that they got in 2020 far exceeded anything that they had had in multiple years prior. And that is because of the community, again, that just found so many innovative ways to use these products. And in 2020, it was used as an entertainment source for people. People were able to learn coding or do things they weren't doing before because they had all this free time now. So it's unfortunate to see how everything has unfolded, but let me know in the comments section what you guys think of Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi Foundation, and even their partnership now with Sony. Do you think that they were going to shoot themselves in the foot, or do you think they are going to see massive growth because they are switching over to the more commercial route? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video today, smash the thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube. And of course, hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop for all future videos here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. I'll see you on the next video.